CNCs, so I thought to start with a roof structure, and then if we have time, we can continue with the walls.
Okay.
So we have this kind of roof made with ArchiCAD, and we are going to put the rafters in the individual rafters here based on the ArchiCAD roof. And to do that, I'll go to the floor plan and open ArchiCAD section. There are many ways to do this roof, but this is probably the easiest one.
쭉 보시고요. 혹시 궁금한 거 있으면. Okay, keep going on.
Okay. So I have a material that I'm going to use for the rafters. This 60 times 60 by 160 millimeters, and I will select the middle top as the anchor point when I'm adding it here in the section. And the layer for my roof rafters, it's going to be this AF ArchiFrame roof, and this is kind of minimum set of ArchiCAD layers you are going to need for boards. Then we have elements object which are used for the wall. This insulation is something you don't need, but then general plank layer, and then to put the roof parts on their own layer, we have this AF roof. Okay, so I know this model, this Italian one, so we need to place the rafter below the ArchiCAD roof, and here at this section I get the angle. Actually, I don't get a snapping line from this. I need to put it a bit higher. This has the exact line. So the first rafter like this, and then I'll stretch it from these pink hotspots here. So lock the angle and extend it slightly, and then I will use ARCHIFRAME. These are ARCHIFRAME tools here, what you see. So the main palette, and then the blank tools which open this icon. Then with this cut tool, I can draw a line in section. This is just one way to trim the woods, but it's quite handy for this. So I'll cut it from here, delete the excess part, and then do other cut. I need to select the blank first. Starting from here, make a straight cut here, and again delete the excess part. And what we have now, if I show selection in 3D, we have the cut here. So every rafter will have similar lower part. So here we can start multiplying this. But first, actually, what I need to do is set the home floor, this to be our roof floor. Based on the level, ArchiFrame placed it to that floor number 1, but I want that to be in floor number 2, so I'll do that. And now we will see it here. And let's place it, the first one, to the correct place. So just normal ArchiCAD tools, drag this piece from here, and I'll place it exactly here at the roof line, and then I reposition it slightly. Starting from here, and from the keyboard I press R like radius and enter value of 400 millimeters. Then I drag a copy to the other side, starting from the middle point and placing it here, and then again, now I do this from keyboard, Command D, to drag and radius of 400 millimeters. So we have two, the left and right hand ones, and now we can multiply this, and I'll use ArchiFrame multiply tool. By the way, if you have anything to ask, just interrupt me and ask, and let's check the question immediately. Okay, so multiply. And here we have an option to give a maximum spacing, which doesn't exist in ArchiCAD similar tools. So maximum spacing 600 millimeters. And we start from middle here and end to the middle of this existing piece. So now we have all these rafters, we are going to trim these later. I'll group these together to be able to select with single click. And if we check the distance between each of these from right to right, it is 572.9, and it is these are visible parts, so it is nice to have the same spacing between all parts. Okay, so let's copy these perhaps to the side, or let's first mirror to the other side because that will be easiest. So mirror or copy. Starting from the center of our roof. I have drawn a line here, helper line, so this is exactly on the central line. And let's see the result. Looks fine. Then rotate another copy. And here, I don't know if I can get the exact place. So let's see, I'll just try my luck. That was actually, yes, that was a wrong way. So what I need to do is I'll mirror these from this line. And then I'll just check if they are 400 millimeters from this. Yeah, it is. Now I believe they are in correct place. And again, I mirror a copy to the fourth side. And here I have the line, so I can show like this. And now we have a lot of stuff. I'll take a layer combination showing only ARCHIFRAME stuff. Like this, and let's see the result in 3D. A lot of rafters following ArchiCAD roofs or just below the ArchiCAD roofs. So the next step is to place the heap rafters, and for that I'll first suspend the groups, then I select two pieces. We have some old pieces here. I'll delete these. They're here before we started our work. So to add the heap rafter, we just select two pieces here, two rafters making the connection. And then from the main plank tools, there is a tool to add that roof valley/heap beam. And since you have CNC, you can select to cut the top of this heap rafter automatically. The material for this, this was for the rafters. Let's use something a bit bigger for this heap rafter. This 120 times 200 millimeters. Okay, there we have it, the first one, and we can do. We could mirror this, but let's use this same technique to add it to this other side. So this one, and just okay. And perhaps, oh sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Let's go to the floor plan, and now I'll take all the layers visible, and let's mirror these to the other side. So you can use the typical ArchiCAD tools to do these kind of things. So mirror or copy the other side. And again, let's take this ArchiFrame only layer combination and the result in 3D. So the first thing is to join these hip rafters, and let's first connect these with this tool, like this, and then the other ones like this. And then we can perhaps let's finish the connection of these pieces first. Actually, I had the helper lines in some other layers, so I'll take again all the layers visible. So we have these lines we can use trim these rafters, and before we do that, I don't know, this is not exactly correct, but maybe this is good enough for the demo, so I'll slightly extend this. Okay, let's see, I want to select my ARCHIFRAME plank, drag it slightly. Okay, starting from here and dragging, lock the angle, and I'll slightly extend this. Then I use the same cut with lines. And actually, I can do this for all pieces at the same time, but maybe it's best if I do it one by one. So I cut it using these lines, and then I delete the excess part. And actually, I could move these parts to ARCHIFRAME layer. So let's say AF roof, and now I can hide the ArchiCAD roofs. So we can see better what's happening here. So the next cut from here, and then, sorry, I need to delete the excess part. It must be this one. And then I'll stretch this all, and let's see if I'm able to cut this all with the same operation. So I'll make this bit oversized, and then I'm going to cut these three. So from this line, and then it looks like I have the long ones in selection, then with this other line. Let's see the result in 3D. It's easier to delete these small pieces here in the 3D. Perhaps we have still some leftovers here. So now we have connection of these hip rafters. And the next thing is to trim these rafters to these hip rafters. Another tool from ARCHIFRAME, adjust to sides. So for that we select the operators. And then we select the target pieces, and I hope I grouped this. Yes, I did. So I was able to select this with one click. And then let's say with a zero gap, this will work here, and then cut the operator and take all the pieces above the hip rafter away. So like this, and then take these as operators and select these and do the same adjusting. And for this part, and then the final side. So get operators and then select the pieces to cut. And you can see that there is a mistake here, so we need to add one more cut to these pieces. So in this case, we pick this as operator, and now we need to change this. We don't want to remove existing cut, but we want to just add a new cut, and this is the correct option here. And then we need to do the same. Actually, I believe we can select all of these as operators and then do for all these. Okay, and then to have a more sophisticated connection, you can also, if you have CNC, you might want to have a dovetail to connect these rafters to these beams. So let's make this part of the roof first. And actually, it is a good way first not to do for everything, but try with just one connection and adjust it so that the parameters are correct. So to do the dovetail, I'll open the extended tools from here. So I get this palette by holding Control from keyboard while clicking this button. So from here, we have the extended dovetail tool, ARCHIFRAME tool. And here we pick the kind of female part, and then we select the connecting part and set the parameters for our dovetail. And we are going to add 28 millimeter dovetail here, 50 millimeter border at the bottom side of the dovetail. And then the tenon width at the bottom will be 80 millimeters. And I believe with these values, we will get quite nice connection. Not exactly, it is too big for this material, but this was the idea that we make the first one and edit it as long as we get the desired result. So perhaps let's try for Hundegger minimum width for the tenon is 40 millimeters, and we will edit this existing one. Still, we have this parameter of move right. We have 5 millimeters. Perhaps if we move it to left, so -5 here. Now it might be acceptable. Because of this material, it is only 60 millimeter wide. Maybe that we need to make this broadening angle smaller to get better connection. So perhaps like this. So if I show this only here is the pocket, and then if I show only this one, you will see the tenon. It is slightly cut here, but probably it will be okay. We can try still to do some small adjustment. It is to move this slightly more to left, let's say 8 millimeters. Then it is cut a bit less. Okay. But yes, now we have found the parameters, so we can make the joint for all these pieces. So let's connect everything to these two pieces. So these are the kind of female parts. Then we select all the rafters having the groups on. And then we add these. So we have connection for each. And these are connected. So if I remove this part, the pocket will go away also. Just undo doing that. And let's make this will be the most complicated piece we have. Let's complete it by connecting doing this other group also. So I select these two pieces and then connect all these to these two pieces. And then we need to make some more adjustments here. So cut the bottom side. We will add actually 3 cuts to our hip rafter. So we will pick plane pointing the end of this rafter, and then we are going to cut this with the plane we picked. Okay, I believe these parameters are correct. So the first cut, then pick the next one, so pick plane from 3D, and then make another cut, and then the final cut, picking the plane from below, and then do it like this. And actually, I will undo this third cut, because in reality we will have beams just below these. So I'll try to finish this single corner, and I'll add beams below these rafters. Let's say they are going to be this material, the same quite heavy beams, and it's going to be the top right corner. I'm going to add this beam below these. So starting from, or I will complete this in 2D. So I'll start from this. Okay, let me see. Let's try again. So add. Okay, I don't have exact place here, unfortunately. Actually, here I need to do one trick. So I will add it using the exact points here. So it will be on a slightly wrong elevation. So now they intersect. I will adjust this later on by using one more ARCHIFRAME feature. So there is a concept of drawing plane that I can also pick from 3D. So I pick the drawing plane from bottom of this. Then I can set the level relative to the picked drawing plane. So if I change this to 0, it will move to the exactly correct level. Because I picked the drawing plane from bottom of this, so the 0 level to the top right corner of this beam is just here that it touches the bottom of these rafters. And when I'm done with the drawing plane, it's a good idea to reset it. And let's see this in floor plan. Unfortunately, because of the levels, it came to this to the wrong floor, so I'll edit this one. So I preserve the level here and change it home story. Now it's here, and it will be easy here to adjust it. I'll just make this corner by making this slightly too long. Or actually here I have the exact point, so I can end it here. And then I rotate a copy. Starting from here and ending there, and then extending this all the way here. And the result in 3D. So let's do something to this corner. The corner connection with these two pieces. And that we will do with extended tools, making a lap joint. And here I'll select it should be either top or bottom surface is to be the anchor point. So perhaps I'll just add and you will see the result. So we have this kind of connection here. And let's complete this connection. I'll show the selection in 3D, and to make this stronger, you probably want to have some drilling, for example, intersection of two planks middle lines, 20 millimeter diameter, and with 0 depth, it will drill through these both pieces. So we have a drilling here. If we want to add some more drillings, we just select these and click position to the top side. And like this, and the third one we could have 5 drillings like this to put some bolt, for example, here, some bolts. Then the final machining here is to connect this hip rafter to these two pieces. That will be a new tool, a groove tool. This is something, if you are familiar with ArchiCAD, this is like solid element operations. But the nice thing is that you get CNC codes when using this tool. So for this, we first pick the target part, and then we select the parts cutting this. Let's see my my settings here. So oversize ends, I will put 1 meter so that this will be extended 1 meter from the end to make the complete, to be sure that it cuts the target completely. Then the other parts oversizes can be 0. So like this, now we have one cut there, and we need to add another cut with this, using this. Okay. Don't they touch here? Let me see. This must be my target part, and this must be Okay, I had a slight. Perhaps I'll undo. I'm not quite sure if I did it correctly. So this must be the target part, and this is the cutting part. And this over top oversize should be 0. Yeah, now it looks better. And then cut with this one having the same settings. And let's see the result. So this end, it looks like this, connecting nicely to the corner. To prepare for the end result. So give IDs. Let's say if we have a convention to give numbers starting from 500 to the roofs, ARCHIFRAME will give similar IDs to similar blanks. There may be small differences here, or actually here we can see that, for example, this is 508 and this is similar piece here, so they get same ID automatically. And we should see this also. We can see the IDs also in 3D. So this something, if you have BMX, this might be something nice to have at the building site if you have these pre-cut with the CNC machine. And let's see a couple of pieces. Let's say these 3, let's say CNC for these. So the default is Hundegger BVN. And with this CNC button, I will save the file.
CNC 가공 머신에서 그대로 데이터 보내는.
And that will be my file name.
BVN.
Some settings here, I believe with these settings it will go okay. And it saved these 3 pieces. And let's see the result. So it is this one that if I double click, it will open to quite old Hundegger software looking like this. And I have some remarks here. So this is something you need to check with your machine setup if it works with your machine. And one option, if you have new Hundegger, you might have this Cambium software from Hundegger. If I open it here, there we have the how Hundegger sees. It should be just the same as we have in ArchiCAD. So the cut here plus the dovetails. Okay. Okay, so that's what I thought to show about roofs. Do you have any questions? Anything typical Korean things I should try to do?
Okay, thank you. Wait for a minute.
Okay.
저기 지붕은 다 이렇게 설명을 했는데 저희보다 전문가들이니까 금방 알아보실 것 같은데 특히 이제 요거 지붕하고 또 그다음에 뭐 벽체하고 뭐 이런 식으로 진행할 건가 봐요. 혹시 뭐
지붕이 되면 사실 벽체는 더 쉽거든요.
그래서 아마 지붕부터 보여준 것 같아요.
지붕으로 탈 수 있으면
Can you print the numbers also?
Let's
When you send
see.
it to the CNC machine, can you print it?
They are in this here. You can see they have the same numbers here. So 501, 515, 570. They are the IDs. Let me see if there is an option. I believe it is based on this. If you have it as blank, if you have numeric blank ID, then Hundegger will be able to print it automatically. But let's see if here is an option. Yes, in Hundegger we don't have that option to print it separately to the part. But I believe This typically your Hundecker, it has a printer that will print this ID with a big font size to a paper, and then you attach that paper to the beams. That is the typical workflow. But if you need, we can add also printing it to the part usually, or if you have inkjet printer with your Hundecker, that will be possible.
Okay, thank you. So you're gonna show us next wall or?
Yes, the walls were, or we could have a look. We have something already here. So some floor structures. I'll just clean up this what we have already here. Example of floor structures. If you use these steel I-beams, there is a feature in ARCHIFRAME that may be quite handy for you. So this is to connect this beam to this steel I-beam. I'll open this this groove tool here, and here we have a do I-beam button to make this kind of connection. So for this, I get the target parts, pick these, then select the cutting part, and let's see the oversizes. I have all zero here. Then with this do I-beam, I can specify oversizes for the 3 parts of this I-beam. So with this oversized top 1 meter, to be sure it cuts everything above, and at the bottom part 1 meter. Well, perhaps I'll just show the result. So with these settings, I get these 2 cuts, so that this connects nicely with this steel I-beam, which is this is standard ArchiCAD object HEB beam. Then the walls. Let's see some walls. So to the first floor, and I'll take the layer combination showing architect stuff here. And this what we used for the roofs, where we were working with the individual planks. So it was this tool. I will close it and open the element tools, which is a new tool for us. And here we have settings. First, we select the element type we want to add, and I have one predefined type we can use for this wall. And for this wall, we have the layers watching from outside. So something concrete, plaster. This is finishing. Then we have some insulation board. This is the main framing wall, so 160 millimeter thick frame with insulation. Then we have OSB, then some additional framing, and then finally this is the inside board, Thermacell. Let's say the parameters. This is something like you have in ArchiCAD to define composite walls, but with ArchiFrame you define more parameters. Sorry. For example, the main framing settings. The most important here is the spacing between the studs, 625 millimeters between the studs. And a lot of other parameters. I'll skip these. You can actually find the details if you go to YouTube, and then actually from YouTube, if you search for ArchiFrame, you will find all our videos. So ArchiFrame here. This ArchiFrame Getting Started, that is a series containing 10 videos that goes through all the typical steps you need to go to make your building. So I recommend you check this video series if you start trialing or using ArchiFrame.
Yeah.
Okay, but yes, we will use this predefined element type wall type. Then I'll cause the top level of our ArchiFrame structures to be 2.7 meters, no matter how architect has made the walls. And then perhaps I'll skip these settings for now, and I'm going to show the boarding, inner side of the boarding when I place this element. And I'll just check the more settings. we'll create the elevations to this separate floor, not to disturb anything that exists already. And the default layer for the planks will be planks. Okay, place new element with line, and then we point the inner side of the walls to ARCHIFRAME to place ARCHIFRAME structures. So here we have this matches with the ArchiCAD wall. It doesn't have to, but in this case it's exactly the same as ArchiCAD structure. So I'll add 4 of these walls to be able to make some corners. And the final one, I will finish it here. And then let's take ArchiFrame only layer combination to hide architect stuff. And we have the floor structures you can see here also. So the next step is to give IDs to our walls. And the idea is that we have unique ID for each piece when we have different IDs for different walls. And then perhaps I'll show only these ArchiFrame elements objects in 3D. So I'll make this show selection in 3D. And first, let's apply some layer offsets. I'll rotate so you will see what happens. So typically, the cladding goes below the main framing, and here we have all the settings. I'll use one existing already. So this will extend the finishing, the cladding 10 centimeters, 100 millimeters at the bottom, like this. So we get offsets like this for different layers in our walls. And you can do the same for openings. Let's see if this makes any change. It made some adjustments. So to have a space for the weatherboards, this may be useful. And then still you can see we don't have framing, and this is the recommended way to do it. So first give IDs, put the layer offsets, then adjust the corners. And we have some predefined here and some that we have taught to ArchiFrame. I will select this. I don't exactly remember how this looked, so I'll apply this to these corners and let's see the result in 2D. It doesn't work too well with this, so probably I'll just undo it and let's use this long one, and then we can try to teach. When we make the framing, we can try to teach a new corner type to ArchiFrame. So we got connection like this with these rules. And let's create framing for these 2 pieces. And important here is that I have the scale 1 to 50 because the text sizes are made to use this scale. So I'll create blanks. And this is the result in floor plan. So these are from the corner rule long, and this is also, it comes from the corner rule. And the same result we have a look in 3D. I can hide these layers, so we have this in the board layer. I'll use ArchiCAD's quick layers to hide these boards. Then we have insulation, it is in its own layer. I'll hide that also so we can see the main framing and also framing at the inner side. And ArchiFrame read the geometry from ArchiCAD walls, so we have this window as we had it in ArchiCAD. Then the next result we have for these walls, we have this kind of layout. So what we have here is the framing, only the framing looked from outside, and then the calculated weight for our element. And actually this shows also the center of gravity, so to calculate where to lift this, or you know where to lift, so you can could lift this element from these two pieces, probably. Because of this big window, I don't know if this is suitable. Probably you will need to take these two pieces. So what we have here is some text that we get automatically, dimension lines that you can define from ARCHIFRAME settings, and I'll show you the setting folder. It is as a default, you have it here in C ARCHIFRAME data. We have many XML files, and I'll show you the simplest one that you are it is easy to edit yourself. So this file contains the raw materials. For example, these two lines, they define material of 22 millimeters by 50 millimeters. So these two lines define. This is pretty easy to edit yourselves.
That means
Yes.
if we have any Korean standard, or if we want to change the size, if we just change in here, it affect to the system.
Yes. So
right?
if I add one, let's say 22 times 70. Actually, I'm now doing this to the wrong place. I'll open the correct place in current setup, but the process will be similar. So I have actually this file here. It is similar. So we add a new material type. So I copy existing here, and let's say we have that 22 times 70. So ID is something if you have a code in your other software you want to use, you could have different name and ID. Then you have to specify the thickness in meters using this decimal dot.
우리나라에서 많이 사용하는 사이즈들이 있죠.
And then you can specify the maximum length. For this kind of material, it doesn't matter, so you can set, say, 99 meters not to get any warnings. Then I save this file, and in ARCHIFRAME, I open settings to reload or the change settings files, and now we have that 22 times 70, we have it here.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And yes, so we have these dimension lines like this here. And also for the opening, we have this kind of dimension line. I'll move it slightly. Okay, drag from here to here. So for the opening, we have this kind of dimension line automatically. Then we have a projection from top, and I'll put the boards visible. So this is everything in the wall structure. So we have insulation boarding. This is the plaster at the exterior side, some OSB here between the framings. And then this is kind of gypsum board at the inner side. Catalyst related to this projection. Then we have another sheet showing different stuff. So windshield boards. This cladding is simple because this is concrete plaster. And then we have this is actually to cut the insulation. Or this dimension line is just to cut the insulation. Then we have the studding inside with the gypsum board inside. And the dimension lines and catalysts related to these projections. And with this setup, we get 3 pages, 3 layouts automatically with ARCHIFRAME. But I'll show you some things you might do. So this is just the starting point for real work. So first of all, I delete this one, and then I will add a beam above this opening. So we open the ARCHIFRAME element options tool. And here we select the material for the lintel. I'll use the same as for the studs. And let's see the settings. I think with this it will be just fine. So we got a structure like this. I'll show this in 3D. This projection, this is something that ARCHIFRAME maintains. This is as ArchiCAD section or elevation, so it is synchronized with a 3D model. But since these are 2D objects, I cannot use this show selection in 3D. Instead, I need to use ARCHIFRAME. This arrow tool has this 3D button. So what we just added is this beam, and we got these slots or grooves automatically. And again, these are connected, so if I delete this beam, the grooves will go away. And we got additional stud here, and in our framing rules, we had a setting that minimum distance between two studs is, I think it's 5 millimeters. I selected this element drawing to see it, so we can measure from here what is actually, yeah, it is. So we have a setting that minimum distance is 5 millimeters to be able to put some insulation between these two studs. You could have it as 0, and then you have also full control of everything, so you can drag this if you wanted this to be, for example, like this. And then you can, if you want to duplicate it, you can drag a copy. So from here, now we have three pieces here. And again, if I show this in 3D, it is also in the 3D model. And to show that this actually, we have a live link between 2D and 3D. So it was this one I edited. Okay, I'll just dismiss this notification here. And you can also, you can do anything here. You can drag this and the same in 3D. And you can use all the blank tools, for example, if you wanted to have this kind of structure here, I can select, I want to adjust it to this bit. So I can use all these individual blank tools to trim this, for example. And let's say we are happy with this element. Then the final thing before getting the end results is to update this element drawing. Then ARCHIFRAME will make sure that all the similar planks will have same ID, also that every plank are listed in this cut list. So for example, here we got this remark, angled ending 10 degrees for this piece here. So we are ready to produce the end results. Okay, I have something trash here. I delete this one. And we have two walls here, so let's produce some end results. Or actually, let's see only this single wall. So I'll select everything related to this wall. And the first thing is listing. Let's see the default first. Okay, I will get an Excel file. If you have a Macintosh, then it will be text-only file that you can open with numbers, Macintosh numbers, for example. So this lists groups the similar pieces to same line. So we have two pieces of this, and the length of it and the total length. It's one type of listing. Then summary of everything. This groups the pieces a bit more. Okay, some notification here. So this groups all of the pieces in the model. If I didn't have selection, it would have gone through everything in this floor. So altogether, we have this material. We have two pieces and this amount. And we have actually here we can see we have three framing materials, and then the rest these are different insulation, and then this insulation is something that ARCHIFRAME calculates for the elements. For example, if we have a look of this this calculation, we can see from this weight things how ARCHIFRAME calculates and what it calculates for this element. Well, there is so much stuff, but this insulation for the main framing layer is here, I believe. So 2,366 liters of insulation for the main framing layer. Okay, a lot of details, but this I just wanted to show that ARCHIFRAME calculates all the pieces separately and calculates the insulation, and the end result is here. We were here show the end results. Then perhaps simple listing to design, to plan. If you build these in the factory as elements, then you might not know how to transport these to the building site. So it will be here. I have the CVS file. So one result you can produce with ARCHIFRAME. So these are per element. So the maximum sizes of the element and thicknesses, the weight of this element, to design how to transport it with the truck. Then the CNC, I can select, let's say, if I select only the core layer for this, we can also produce Hundecker BVN. And save into separate files based on the element ID. I can have this option here also. And then let's see the result from here. Okay, I don't remember where I saved it. I need to check it again. Okay, it was to this folder. So here we have it. And this is the result. Studs. Let's see if we have. We don't have any cuts in these studs. So these are very simple, just straight cuts at the both ends. And it looks like we have 5 minutes. So this the last thing I'm going to show you how to produce the layout. And for that, I'll just check if I have the view already here. So this is my view map, and let's say I don't quite understand this one. I'll create a new folder. Let's say AF, and then I'll save the current settings. Current settings with these, and let's see where it goes. There it goes. So now we have a view that has all these settings. So we need to have a view to be able to create this just standard layout. So I'll select that one here. And the name of our elevations or layouts will be element drawing, and then element ID following that one. Okay, now ARCHIFRAME is creating the layouts automatically. And we have these in our layout book now. Okay, let's see. It looks like these layers are hidden. Well, now ArchiCAD refuses to show, but we got 3 layouts for each element that we can then print using standard ArchiCAD tools. Let's see. I'm a bit curious about what happened here. Well, yeah. Well, you have the layouts, and then you could produce BMX result, BMX to be used in your production or building site. It will be very helpful, for example, with the complicated roof structures like this, to have this as a BMX. So then at the building site, they will know that this part ID belongs to this part of the building. Okay, so that's all from the walls. Any questions of this or anything else?
Okay, thanks for the demo. And then I'll ask them. At this moment, around 10 people joined
Yes.
for this seminar.
Yes. Okay, and I want to thank you all for putting your time to watch ARCHIFRAME.
Wait for a second.
여기 접합 설문 같은 거는 모델링에 넣을 수는 없나요?
접합.
설문
설문.
사이에 연결
아.
설문이 있거든요.
접합 철문 뭐라고 그래야 돼? I don't know how to say in English, but they are asking the connecting materials, steel materials.
Yeah.
You have
So,
any kinds of that? You
uh,
know what I mean?
let's see. We have a light steel framing. I'll open one file. Okay, just a moment.
이렇게 접합하는 철골 얘기하는 거죠?
Okay, this is a Californian user. They're using light steel frames to make the walls. They currently make the wall elements in their factory, only the framing part with ARCHIFRAME. They make the boards the traditional way or the old way in the factory without any drawings from ARCHIFRAME.
캘리포니아 고객이 만든 거 지금 열어주려고 하나 봐요.
Yeah, this pretty big one. Perhaps I'll open on other ArchiCAD also. So just to show, and something else we have that you might be interested in is while waiting that file to open, I'll open the extended tool palette here and add a steel bulk shoe to the end of this. I'll just use the default settings, so you're able to add these kind of connectors and calculate this with ARCHIFRAME. But probably this is not what you meant. I'll now this opening. So this kind of model.
실제 프로젝트.
And I'll take just one element here. And this has 3D material that you cannot actually see too well, so I'll just switch this to something white. Okay, so we have profiles like this C shape.
얘는 이제 스틸 프레임을 지금 얘기하는 것 같고요. 이 친구는.
It's you showed us is a steel frame, but we're talking about element between the element wood and wood. You might need some steel connector.
Yeah.
Steel connectors.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. We don't have support for those. Let's see. I think. Let's see if I can find any examples. So this is not so good. We have just actually we have support for slightly this kind of connection. Okay, I'll show you an example.
궁금한 게 라이브러리로 갖고 있는데 뭐다
So you have libraries, the kinds of libraries in the program, or
we have
they have to develop themselves.
They currently okay. This close this ARCHICAD. They need to do that manually. You can use anything. You have a 3D model, 3D anything you have as an object for ArchiCAD, but ArchiFrame currently doesn't have support. It doesn't help you placing these metal connectors, and we have only. I'll show you one connection we have support for. So I'll put something quite big here. 1 meter. I'll add 2 beams here and another one. Okay. The second one like this. So there is this is the connection, and I think I need to take the extended one, and this is in Finnish. Switch it to English. So we have a hidden shoe and bulk wedge. Actually, these two we have. Okay, this is quite simple one, and I'll take this as connecting piece. And the result in 3D. So we make these machinings. This you get from Hundegger, and there is a metal part going inside here. So this we have supported, and then the next one here, if I duplicate this one, taking this hidden shoe away, and let's put this bulk wedge. So this is going to be metal part going inside. Well, I'll add this one, and I'll show these two in 3D. So what we have here is the steel plate should go 10 millimeter thick steel plate is nailed to the end of this beam, and then we have just a pocket here, so the steel plate goes inside here. So we have only these two types at the moment, plus the bulk shoe to the end of the piece. The rest connections you can probably model those to some extent with ARCHIFRAME.
스틸 커넥터 많이 쓰나요?
네, 많이 쓰죠.
지금 뭐 덧대거나 뭐 이렇게 니은자나
매질 때문에 선물을 많이 써요. 근데 뭐 저 정도로 이렇게 서포트 해주면
사용자가 뭐 만들어서 이렇게 붙일 수는 있을 것 같으니까요. 네, 부재마다. 또 뭐 다른.
So I believe you mean something like this. So
저런 거요.
저거는 이제 중목 구조에 들어가는 거고요. 일반 구조보다 좀 작죠.
That's for the heavy wooden structures, but they are asking the lighter than that.
Okay, yeah. Well, you could send me examples of what you have, and I can. It is for future development, and then if there is a way to do that with ARCHIFRAME, I can make a video or tell the steps how to do that with ARCHIFRAME. But please send examples, photographs. Perhaps those are the best of the connections you are using. Yeah. So this actually, what I showed, it is something like this connection.
So, okay, I think that kind.
It went somewhere. Here it is. Yeah, so something like this. It was the one I showed, the first one.
Or in the bottom in the middle. T-type. The pictures, the bottom in the middle. Yeah, that one.
That's
that
yeah.
So
yeah,
in that case, users, they have to develop themselves and then use it, or
yes,
you
that's
could supply
right.
the kind of libraries.
In future we can support, but currently we don't have support for this. But actually, this is simple because this doesn't make any change to the beam, to the wooden part. You probably want to calculate these and to have these in the model so that the guys at the building site know how to combine these together. So you can put these into 3D model manually. I know it's a big work, but yes, that way it is possible.
Okay. We understood. Okay. Got it. Okay, thank you.
혹시 기존에 모델링 했던 데이터를 가지고 저 세팅을 할 수 있는 건지 혹시?
네, 아까 그렇게 했었어요. 네, 그렇게 했어요. So basically, once you build up the one model, so based on that, we can use the basic frames we used the previous project, isn't it? Or data, whatever it is.
Yes, you can use. You mean old ARCHIFRAME models you have done already? Yeah. Yes, you
아까
can.
보니까 쉽게 돼 있더라고요.
Yeah, it is.
한국에 맞게 이렇게 바꾸면 될 것 같고.
정보도 바꾸고.
So like ArchiCAD, ARCHIFRAME is backwards compatible. You can open any old model with the newest ARCHIFRAME and it will work fine.
이게 CNC 말고 우리 요즘 한국 같은 경우 프리컷, 뭐 다른 프로그램으로도 하는 거죠.
프리컷.
네, 만약에 공장 제작 하는 방식이 약간 CNC 하나만 했는데 다른 걸로도.
You showed us to produce all the elements using CNC machines.
Yes.
But is there any other way to produce to manufacture the elements instead of CNC? It's like a pre-cut. Have you heard of pre-cut?
Yes. So like manual manufacturing. Then I'm just opening. Maybe I should open some existing model. And I'll add one example also of more complicated ones. Let's take this one and I'll open another ArchiCAD also. So let's say if we make one piece having some cuts, I'll show this in 3D, and this drilling is so easy to add, so I'll add a couple of drillings here. I need to select the target first, so a couple of drillings here. And then we have a dimension drawing tool in ARCHIFRAME, so we can create the detailed drawing of a single plank. And I'll put it to the third floor. So it will be something like this. So ARCHIFRAME produces detail of the selected piece. So this is meant for manual, if you need to manually cut this piece.
But instead of using CNC machines,
yes,
can we send the data to other type of machines for the manufacturing?
Yes. Then perhaps
any other options?
It seems this is having trouble opening the file we worked with. Let's see some other model then.
프리컷이라는 게 기계가 그런 게 있어요? 프리컷?
예, 좀 더 다듬는 거죠. 아까 CNC는 판이 한정적으로 있잖아요. 두께도 그렇고.
Okay, I'll just take this.
거예요. 그것도 자동 제작이 돼요?
그러니까 이제 자동 제작이 또 굉장히 많잖아요. 그거 말고 굉장히 많아요. 뭐 혹시 샘플로 사례를 해봤는지 물어보시면.
Or actually, this didn't have anything.
You have any experience instead of using CNC machines to produce all the elements?
Yeah. Actually,
you have experience.
Yeah, most of our customers, they don't have CNC, so they work with the cut lists. And the Excel listings I showed, there is one additional one that could be used for production, but this is this for the factory that uses manual manufacturing. I'll just take their settings. It is a Swedish one. This one, Derome. So to have their layout and element types. And one example here is about these elevations. You can edit these many ways. So this is one example of elevations. And here, this catalyst actually, this is used for making this manually. So we have, this means domain framing, and all the pieces are listed here. So this length, how many pieces, and the ID.
공법이에요? 프리컷이요? 공법이에요?
And then if I show this element listing, which I skipped.
Can you show?
Yep. Okay, so I show this element listing for this single element, which is an example of what you could use for production. So we have here the bottom plate, the cut angles, and the length.
저거는 뭐예요? 저런 기계인 것 같은데 저것도? 그렇죠.
장비 명령은
그 장비에 대해서 보내는 명령어를 이렇게 해서 엑셀로 보내는 것 같아요. 이런 케이스가 있으니까 그 특별한 기계에도 사실 그 보내는 프로토콜들이 있거든요. 그걸로 우리가 이렇게 해서 만들어서 보내면 될 것 같다는 생각이 드네요. Okay, we understand. Okay. Thank you.
And we have also, for one Finnish manufacturer, we have made a custom listing that lists this whole machine as a CSV file, so basically text file, and that is read by a half-automated machine. So we can customize anything, but with the built-in stuff, I believe you can make the typical structures, no problem, manually.
이제 뭐 직접 물어볼 건 없으면 이 정도로 하고 저희끼리 얘기할까요?
네네. 한번 한 것 같아요.
Okay, Petri, thanks a lot for the presentation.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
And we can, if you want to have a trial, that is the typical way. The next steps for the customer, if they want to try themselves, we can make a couple of months trial license so they can try.
Okay, couple of months we
Yep.
can use it. Okay.
Yes.
You mean 2 months?
2 months. Yes, and you as a reseller, you have not for resale dongles, you can use ARCHIFRAME without any limitations yourselves.
Okay, thanks a lot. If we have any extra questions, I will send you by email.
Yes, great.
Thanks for the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice
Okay,
evening.
thanks a lot.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.